Welcome to the Inspirational Living Podcast. If you have benefited from our podcast and would like to support us with a one-time donation, your financial support will help ensure our podcast stays freely online for years to come. To make a donation, please visit livinghour.org/donate. Thank you. Today's reading was edited and adapted from Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude by Napoleon Hill and W. Clement Stone. So, have you got a problem? That's good. Why? Because repeated victories over your problems are the rungs on your ladder of success. With each victory, you grow in wisdom, stature, and experience. You become a better, bigger, more successful person each time you meet a problem and tackle and conquer it with a positive mental attitude. Stop and think about it for a moment. Do you know of a single instance where any real achievement was made in your life or in the life of any person in history that was not due to a problem with which the individual was faced? Everyone has problems. That's because you and everything in the universe are in a constant process of change. Change is an inexorable natural law. What is important for you to know is this, that your success or failure to meet the challenges of change are dependent upon your mental attitude. You can direct your thoughts and control your emotions, and thus regulate your attitude. You can choose whether your attitude will be positive or negative. You can decide whether you will affect, use, control, or harmonize with the changes in yourself and your environment. You can ordain your own destiny. When you meet the challenges of change with a positive mindset, you can intelligently solve each problem with which you are confronted. How do you meet a problem with positivity? Well, if you know and believe the first principal element of a positive mindset, that God is always a good God, then you can effectively use the following formula to meet your problems, regardless of how perplexing they may be. Number 1. Ask for divine guidance. Ask for help in finding the right solution. Number 2. Engage in thinking time for the purpose of solving your problems. Remember that every adversity has the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit for those who have a positive mental attitude. Number 3. State the problem. Analyze and define it. Number 4. State to yourself enthusiastically, "That's good." Number 5. Ask yourself some specific questions, such as, what's good about it? How can I turn this adversity into a seed of equivalent or greater benefit? Or how can I turn this liability into a greater asset? Number 6. Keep searching for answers to these questions until you find at least one answer that can work. Now, the problems that confront you will, broadly speaking, be of 3 kinds: personal problems, emotional, financial, mental, moral, and physical, family problems, and business or professional problems. A lot of problems are connected to that famous statement by Charlie Ward, who in the early 1900s went from prison for drug smuggling to leading a multi-million-dollar company. He said, "My greatest mistake was being with the wrong companions." Negative attitudes are often contagious, and bad habits are contagious. Let each of us look to our associations and be certain to keep them on the highest possible level. One of the greatest services you can render to children is to motivate them to motivate themselves, to select the right kind of friends and associates. Another force with which everyone has to contend, and which, if not met with a positive mindset, can cause physical, moral, and mental destruction, is the power of sex. Sex presents the greatest challenge of change. Each human being has the power to choose for themselves whether they will use the tremendous power of sex for good or for evil. Each person must contend with the problems that will arise in their life because of sex. But know that you can transmute sex into a virtue and not a vice. One of God's greatest gifts to humankind is the power to make a new human being. Sex is the means of procreation. It is power, and like all power, it can be used for good or for evil. Sex is a physical function of the body, under the control of the subconscious and conscious mind. It is inherited. The physical sex organs, works of God, like all His creations, are good. The little difference that makes the big difference between the power of sex being a virtue or a vice is mental attitude. The inherent emotion of sex is one of the most powerful forces of the subconscious mind. The effects of its motivating power can be observed long before adolescence. This power blends with and intensifies the driving force of all other emotions. When it is in conflict with the will of the conscious mind, the power of imagination, as it affects the emotion of sex, has a tendency to win, unless the conscious mind uses its power to affect, use, control, or harmonize with the powers of the subconscious. You have the power to choose. Choose wisely and with a positive mental attitude. Transmute sex into virtue. Thus you will win over one of the greatest problems you will ever have to face in your personal life. And you will be physically, mentally, and morally better. And what is virtue? Virtue is the practice or action of moral excellence, rectitude, and valor. The 7 virtues are: number 1, prudence, the ability to govern and discipline oneself by the exercise of reason. Number 2, fortitude, strength of mind that enables a person to encounter danger or bear pain or adversity with courage. It is the possession of the stamina essential to face that which repels or frightens us, or to put up with the hardships of a task imposed. It implies triumph. Synonyms are grit, backbone, pluck, and guts. Number 3, temperance, habitual moderation in the indulgence of the appetites and passions. Number 4, justice, the principle or ideal of just dealing or right action. Also conformity to this principle or ideal. Integrity. Number 5, faith, trust in God. Number 6, hope, desire with an expectation of obtaining what is desired, or belief that it is obtainable. Number 7, charity, the act of loving all people as brothers and sisters, because they are children of God. It stresses benevolence and goodwill in giving, and in the broad understanding of others with kindly tolerance. So, how can you transmute the power of sex into the good and the beautiful? A crystal clear answer can be found by you if you search for it as you listen to these podcasts. Results will be achieved when you relate and assimilate the principles into your own life. But one must gain the knowledge for themselves. However, the following suggestions may be helpful as you search for your answer. 1. Keep your mind on the things you want and off the things you don't want. This means that you keep your mind on immediate, intermediate, and distant desirable objectives. The instinct of sex in the subconscious mind will be patient if it has hope that you will fulfill life's mission. 2. If there were more and often earlier marriages, there would be fewer sex problems. Life's mission to procreate is fulfilled in marriage. However, we should marry for love beyond the sex instinct. 3. Lead a well-balanced, four-square life. 4. Work long hours at a labor of love. It will keep you busy, occupy your thoughts, and use up surplus energy. 5. Develop a magnificent obsession, one that is in some way of service to others. 6. Relate and assimilate into your own life the absolute truth that you can change your world. 7. Select the environment that will develop you best toward your objectives. 8. Choose the self-motivators for self-suggestion, the positive affirmations that you believe will help you. Memorize them. Once memorized and repeated, they will soon flash from your subconscious mind to your conscious mind as autosuggestion. Now, remember that not all the problems of one's life are of a deep and penetrating nature. Many times, all that it takes to meet an immediate problem is quick thinking, adaptability, and taking a second look at the situation which is causing the problem. It often only takes one idea, followed by action, to turn failure into success, to succeed where others have failed. You can grow with booster shots of new ideas, new life, new blood, new activity. You can change a downward trend into an upward one. You can be different. When others float downstream, you can move upstream. Remember that if you have a problem, that's good. It's good if you learn to see how to turn adversity into seeds of an equivalent or greater benefit. Because every time you meet a problem and tackle and conquer it with a positive mindset, you become a better, bigger, and more successful person. The Inspirational Living Podcast is a production of The Living Hour. Get your very own exclusive podcast feed with full transcripts delivered right to your smartphone by becoming our patron today. Learn more by visiting livinghour.org/patron. Thanks for listening. I look forward to talking with you next time.